This meeting is being recorded.
All right, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We apologize for starting just a little bit behind, but we thank you all for being here. If you will, please put your name and organization in the chat. We would really appreciate it. Today, we again thank you for being with us, and we're continuing on with our Lunch and Learn sessions. We have Complete Nutrition Solutions with us to help us talk about healthy choices and focusing on what we can change. Our presenter today is Charisse Martin with Complete Nutrition. So Charisse, I am going to turn this over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you again for joining us for this Healthy Choices Lunch and Learn, I believe, is what you guys call it. So we're so glad that you can join us. And I will do my best to be very respectful of time. And as we move through the presentation, we can go ahead and ask and answer questions as they come up. And again, my name is Charisse Martin. I'm a registered dietitian, licensed dietitian in Texas. And our topic today is healthy choices. So making small changes to, again, live a healthier lifestyle. I'm ready for the next slide. So our company is Complete Nutrition Solutions, and we offer nutrition consultations in McAllen, in Wesco, and also via telehealth. So I work at the McAllen office and also do the telehealth consultations. You can go ahead and move to the next slide, please. This is just a little bit of a background about me. I have grown up and lived in South Texas practically my entire life. So I'm from Edinburgh. I originally got my business degree and out of UNT, so University of North Texas. And then I decided as I was working, I wanted to learn more about health and wellness and make that a career. So I went back to school and got my dietetics degree at UTRGV, and I've worked for HEB Nutrition Services. I've just ended my time there after 4 years and I'm now helping service Complete Nutrition Solutions. Next slide, please. Again, we have two offices, one in Wesco and McAllen. So if you are ever interested in learning more about health and wellness and how you specifically can get recommendations to improve your health, we have, like I said, hour-long consultations with dietitians, and also if your insurance does cover telehealth. So we do take insurance plans, and most people are covered at 100%. And the nice thing is, telehealth is somewhat covered at 100% as well. So if you can't make it to our office, ask about our telehealth options. Next slide. And we do have several dietitians on our team, me being one of them. Anna, Andy, Angela, and Miriam are also part of our team, and we service different locations. We do have a scheduling team. Brenda and Emma are great at connecting with you and putting you on our schedule. And we do have some background people leading our social media, our billing, and credentialing. So this is our team in a nutshell. We're small, but we continue to grow, and hopefully throughout the years, we will continue to grow and help service the Valley even more. Next slide. So we'll jump right into the information. Some of our objectives are to learn about the MyPlate recommendations and guidelines, discuss risks of health conditions, so pertaining to diabetes and its link to heart disease, as well as how physical activity can really promote overall health and wellness, in addition to the diet. Next slide, please. So we are going to first talk about some healthy choices. So why choose a balanced and healthy diet, right? We want to eat healthy. We want to eat healthy for make long-term changes that continue to keep us healthy. And there's always a balance. So think of like the 80/20 rule, where 80% of the time, right, you're focusing on healthy eating habits, physical activity habits, right, hydration. 20% of the time you have some flexibility, right, in those choices where you can enjoy maybe a slice of cake, everything in moderation, right? So we always want to focus on those nutrient dense foods, um, 80% of the time, and have a little bit of wiggle room 20% of the time. That's generally my recommendation for most people looking at making small, healthy changes. Next slide. So, like we mentioned, we want to focus on what you can change, right? How sustainable are these changes? So, making small commitments is what I like to focus on with a lot of my clients. Um, so, what are things that you can do now, and what are things that you hope to do long term? Some of these changes can be maintaining a healthy weight. So, if it's just maintenance, right, that you're looking at, or losing weight to be at a healthy weight range, maintaining cholesterol, healthy cholesterol levels, blood pressure, and also blood glucose levels, right? And think about, if you are physically inactive, what you can do to move more. So we all, especially working from home, may have shifted to a more sedentary lifestyle than what we were doing in office, or maybe it's about the same. So think about small changes, right? And I always like to push for short-term goals and long-term goals. Next slide, please. So, what are some of the recommendations, right, by the My Plate? If you remember that being one of our objectives. So, obviously, fruits and veggies, whole grain, high fiber foods. So, think whole wheat breads, whole wheat pastas, lean meats, fat free or low fat dairy options, reducing added sugars, a limited salt intake, alcohol in moderation, and things like oily fish that can promote heart health. So these are all recommendations by the My Plate guide. Next slide. So if you've seen this image before, I think most of us have, especially working in the health and wellness realms. This is My Plate, and you can always go to choosemyplate.gov to learn more about each of these recommendations. There's a really fun app that they have. So it starts simple with My Plate, that isn't really about calorie counting or really uh, specific details on calories, but it gives you an inside look at portions and also checking off these food group goals per day. So it's a really fun, interactive app if you've never played around with that before. So again, we're focusing on balance, right? So what can you do to reduce your risk, right? So diabetes, heart disease is closely linked to diabetes. So we want to limit added sugars to no more than half of your daily calories. So for someone that likes sweet drinks, sodas, sweetened teas, um, think about how you can slowly reduce those. Limit saturated fats. So if you like to eat out, like your red meat, fried foods, think about shifting to baked or air fried. That's something that's really popular nowadays. Limit cholesterol intake, right? And also sodium. So if you're someone that likes to add salt to the table, maybe think about pulling back on that. Portion control. So I mentioned that Start Simple with My Plate app. It really focuses more on portion control than calorie counting, right? Which I think a lot of people still misunderstand is portion control. Um, and it's a great way to, again, make small changes, right? If you're trying to lose weight or manage your weight. 1 cup of vegetables or fruit, that's generally the biggest portion of our plate, right? 3 ounces of meat, fish, poultry, so that's about the size of the deck of cards. A single serving of like a bagel or bread, tortillas, right? An ounce of cheese, so it's about 3 die, and one baked potato is, um, I think that's a mouse on there, like from your computer. That's generally the size that we want to keep in mind. So just some visuals to help you out here with portions. Next slide. So I heard that you have already discussed the food label, so I won't spend too much time on this, but there's always some things to keep in mind, right? Serving size is really important, as well as calories, but I always point people to serving size because we generally eat beyond what is recommended. And then, that adds up to excess calories and excess weight. And I always try to remember, especially if it is a carb-based food, to point people to fiber. Think about adding more fiber to your diet because it's great for blood sugar control, for cholesterol management, and for weight management. So we want to look for things that are a little higher in fiber, right? If you like white bread, think about the whole grain bread that has some more nutrients and fiber to it, right? So I won't go into this too much, but I always like to recommend looking at serving size and that fiber intake. Next slide, please. So we do always want to encourage more fruits and vegetables. This is something that I see consistently with clients is they're lacking in those fruits and veggies. So more protein heavy meals, higher carb meals, but again, less fruits and vegetables generally. So we want to eat at least 5 portions of a variety, right? If we're eating a variety of foods, we're getting a variety of nutrients. So that is why we encourage eating multiple types. Obviously, they provide a range of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and that fiber again. And just know that all vegetables count. So it's up to you whether you choose fresh, frozen, canned, dried. Um, in canned, I always tell people look out for the low sodium options, right? Or no salt added in the veggies, in the fruit, in its own juice. So if you like canned fruit, sometimes you'll see in light syrup, heavy syrup, avoid those because generally they have added sugar. And then there are some portions to be respectful of, but I won't go into that much detail. I think what we can do is again, switch to increasing and meeting that 5 portions a day of any variety, right? Juice is something that I always tell people to keep in mind. That's okay. Because juice tends to lack fiber. So choosing whole fruit over juice is going to be my recommendation. Okay, next slide. Thank you. So what are the benefits of plants, right? So if you're looking at maybe saving on some calories, fruits and vegetables are generally low in calories. So that's why we can eat a lot more of them in larger portions because they don't increase our calories significantly. So they also improve cholesterol levels. So plants naturally have cholesterol, but it's the good kind that helps battle the bad kind, and also a multitude of nutrients, vitamins, and minerals. And think if you're maybe slow going to the bathroom, again, fiber is going to be in these foods. So keep that in mind. So again, because of their nutrient profile, they help prevent and reduce risk of heart disease, protect against certain types of cancers. So think about the antioxidants in these colorful foods, reduce the risk of obesity. So we mentioned they're low calorie, high in fiber, which is great for weight management, and then also reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes. So if you are overweight, generally there is a very close link between being overweight or obese and your risk for developing type 2 diabetes. So no, fruits and vegetables are your friends. Next slide. So what are some of the preparation, right, options in these foods? So anything goes. Just remember fresh, canned, or frozen options are great. We've already talked about those keywords to look for on the cans. Whole grain products, think breads, pasta, cereals. There's so many options now that fit people's very specific needs in the grocery store. So if you're looking for something specific, I'm sure there's something out there. So think about replacing solid fats. So if you like butter, I'll admit I'm a butter fan. Think about cooking with things that are oily or liquid at room temperature, because those generally have heart healthy fats in them versus solid fats. Choosing lean cuts of meat. So if you're looking for your next piece of steak, look for something that says loin. That's always going to be your key to leaner options. So grill, bake, or broil instead of fry, right, in oil or air fry. That's also a great option. And then, as I mentioned before, choosing whole fruits and vegetables over juices provides that additional fiber intake. Next slide. Whole grains. So why we push for whole grains is because they contain the bran, germ, and the endosperm. So you're getting obviously the maximum nutrient intake and benefit from something that is whole grain. Also the fiber. Generally in a highly processed, say white bread or white pasta, you're losing a lot of the nutrients. So think about choosing and kind of shifting towards something that is more whole grain. And if you're looking for a bread and you're not sure if it's whole grain or not, or appropriate for you, the first ingredient should say whole wheat flour. That's how you know it's a whole grain product. Next slide. Lean proteins. So don't think animal proteins only. There's a lot of plant-based proteins. So if you follow more of a vegetable-based diet or vegan, vegetarian, know that beans, peas, nuts, and seeds can provide a lot of great, valuable protein. And then seafood, the American Heart Association recommends 2 servings. Think about your fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, even albacore tuna that can provide your omega-3 fatty acids. So great for heart health. And then it's always important to not leave off protein on a meal. So even if you are plant-based, right? I always push for protein because this is great for keeping one for its nutrient profile, right? But keeping also your muscles and your bones healthy. They do provide calories. Obviously, our main calorie groups are fat, protein, and carbs. And then, as far as just serving a variety of function in the body, protein is a key component of how we maintain life on a daily basis. Next slide. So dairy, if you like dairy, it's a great option for protein, but we also want to keep a variety in mind here. So think milk, cheese, um, yogurt, cottage cheese, even ice cream can be part of a healthy diet if it's in the proper portion. And just know calcium, potassium, vitamin D. So a lot of people I see are low in vitamin D. This is a great option if you're trying to boost that. I always recommend sun exposure, right? But always choose the low fat or the reduced fat options because those calories can add up pretty quickly as well. Healthy fats. So we did talk about them being liquid at room temperature. So think if it's solid at room temperature on the counter, it's probably solid in your arteries. So there's a lot of options to choose from. Canola oil, I know that's gotten a lot of bad press over the years. Olive oil, think avocado oil, that's something that's very popular. Even avocados to say a snack, right? Chips and guacamole, I like to recommend that, or as part of meals, nuts, seeds, olives. And generally, this is not a food group that's highly accounted for, but think about preparation, right? So if you're baking, say, a chicken breast in the oven, you want to season it, think about drizzling some oil on it, or even in the pan, right? If you're pan frying, just to help boost in small amounts your intake of healthy fats. Next slide. And just know that fat does carry the most calories per gram. So that's why the portions are much smaller than, say, your protein or your carbs. But they're great at adding some additional calories for energy, your brain function, also in the recovery or healing process. So if you've been recently injured or have broken bones, wounds, just know that we always encourage some fat intake, especially throughout the healing process. Next slide. Eating more fish, that's going to be the #1 way for a lot of people to boost your omega-3, right? So maybe some of you are taking that fish oil or omega-3 supplement. Think about how you can switch up your variety of proteins, right? And include fish. We mentioned about 2 to 3 times per week. And know that oily fish is going to be a good option for those omega-3 fatty acids. And we do want to limit saturated fat, obviously, from highly processed foods, takeout foods, things that are fried, and oil, and also decrease added sugar. So if you, like I mentioned, if you're a fan of sodas or any sweetened beverages, just think about how you could slowly pull back on those. Next slide. And there's always room for unsaturated fats in the diet. So we mentioned avocados, nuts, seeds, oily fish, cooking in oils versus butters. Um, these are great options to help lower your cholesterol and also to maintain heart health. Next slide. Eating less salt. So if you have issues with blood pressure, or maybe it's just a vice for you. Salt lives quite a bit in processed foods. Maybe starting with removing salt at the table. That's a great way to start, and also to reduce processed foods. Next slide. I recommend highly, if you're trying to minimize salt in the diet, using herbs and spices, even citrus juices. So if you like to add salt maybe to proteins, right, and say in your fish, for that flavor enhancer, right? Salt is something that enhances flavor. We do know that. But think about using vinegars or citrus juices as the salt replacement. And just know that there's a lot of things on the market that can replace salt in the diet. So I'd like to recommend Mrs. Dash, True Lemon, True Lime. Those are great ways to reduce salt, but still have a lot of flavor on your foods. Always being active, that's going to be a goal that I highly recommend for everyone trying to manage their weight or live a more active lifestyle, is choosing something that you know is doable. So starting with walking, that's generally where I like to begin my recommendations. If you tend to be more active, think maybe cardio plus weight resistance combination. And a lot of these activities, right, dancing, basketball, gymnastics, or even using the stairs, combine cardio and weight resistance. So that's generally what I like to recommend as people transition into a more active lifestyle. And always stay hydrated. It's something that I battle myself, remembering to drink more water. But I know when I'm not drinking enough. My skin is dry, my lips tend to be drier. So recognizing also signs. So if you feel thirsty, think about adding maybe an additional glass or two of water. If your urine is darker in color, if you have headaches, been there, done that. If you feel lightheaded or lack of energy, those are probably signs that you're not drinking enough water. So always stay hydrated. And obviously, we're here at Complete Nutrition Solutions to, um, provide this guidance. But making a list can be a great place to start. Again, focusing on small changes that you can make in the now, and also where you want to be in the future. What are things you want to continue to work on? So baby steps are definitely key. So in a nutshell, let's wrap this presentation up. Obviously, a healthful diet, right? We talked about those My Plate recommendations. I always like to tell people, keep that visual in the back of your mind and go through your meals and snacks right throughout the day and see if you're checking off most of those boxes. So an adequate diet, right? Of those balanced diet, we talked about increasing fruits and vegetables. Maybe that's where you want to start. So think about fiber, all of those nutrients and vitamins that help promote health. A variety, right? Each food group, we want to choose a variety of foods to get a variety of nutrients. And then again, if you're a fan of takeout foods or processed foods, high sugar drinks, then think about ways to slowly cut back and be more physically active and hydrated. So here we have Andy on the left and Anna on the right. If you would like any specific guidance, right? Maybe you're trying to manage diabetes or high cholesterol and you need some more tailored recommendations, know that you can call us, email us, check out our Instagram and Facebook pages as well. Maybe to get some helpful tips and get you scheduled with one of our dietitians. I think we have now a little bit of time for questions. Raina, if you think we have some time there.
Thank you so much for all the information today. This has been a wonderful presentation. We do want to open this up to everybody that has joined. If you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or in the Q&A section. Sharice, you did talk a little bit about physical inactivity, and I do want to make a little plug here. We will be doing a physical activity challenge starting on April 1st called Move Your Way, Prevent T2. It is a social media challenge that you can sign up for and register. So please feel free to go to our Facebook page and register for that event as well.
Oh, great, great. Well, when does it start? Did you say that?
It starts April 1st. It will go through the entire month of April for Move More Month.
Oh, okay, awesome. I need to definitely get involved. Because I'm trying to be more active myself as I tend to be more sedentary, especially at work.
Absolutely. And the good thing about this is it's move your way. It doesn't have to mean go to the gym. You can just go take a walk around the block or go gardening, doing whatever you would like to do, but just becoming more active.
That's great. Well, thank you for informing me of that.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like we don't have any questions for today. So again, Sharice, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate all the work you all are doing in our community and helping us learn a little bit more about what we can do to help prevent type 2 diabetes. Everyone, we thank you so much for joining us. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us or over to Complete Nutrition Solutions to help get information for preventing diabetes. So everyone, we will see you in 2 weeks and hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.